Today on the podcast, we're talking sauce, fresh ingredients, and digging graves. This is the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Lindbergh. You know, many of you know me from way back when, and if not, it's nice to meet you. You know, each week here on the Kansas City Podcast, we are joined by a one-of-a-kind KC native for a conversation on life in the city of fountains. What do you think of that? Pretty nice, right?
Yeah, I like that.
It's got a nice ring to it. I ask everybody that, don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited today. I have a special guest here on the show. We're going to be talking about food. We're going to be talking about restaurants and chef things, and I have lots of questions because, as I've stated before on the podcast, I am A, horrible cook, B, in love with cooking shows. So please welcome, he is currently the sous chef at the Reserve Restaurant and Lounge inside the Ambassador Hotel downtown, Jeremiah D. Lyman. Jeremiah, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to have you here. What is a sous chef? Like, isn't that like the prep chef? Or no, what's the difference? I don't know the difference.
It's basically the same. I always make a joke. I'm like, Sous, S-O-U-S. It stands for super slave. But yeah, I'm the right-hand man to the chef. And I do all the same things the chef does, the executive chef, but don't get paid as much.
Okay, because at the end of the day, like the executive chef, you know, he's over there kind of just, is he still... are the way the duties like split up right now, like all of a sudden he'll be like, I gotta go, you gotta take over for this or whatever? Or,
yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Basically, he wants me to do something or run the hotel, run the restaurant.
Right.
That's what I do. And I've been there for 5 years. I've seen multiple chefs come and go.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I like to think of myself as kind of like a heartbeat.
Okay. So you're the one that's basically holding it all together. the executive chef runs in like, that looks good, and then runs out the door. Okay.
They're like, thank you. I'm going back to the paperwork.
Now, you were telling me that you've been a chef for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've worked I assume like you've worked your way up to the Reserve.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so with the Reserve, I mean, what is the... I've never been to the Reserve before, so what are some like specialties or some things that, you know, you focus on there that you're like, ooh, this is where it's at?
Basically, you know, a lot of people think of a hotel restaurant like it's kind of, they have their nose up about it, you know, or it's not as quality as it should be. You know, like it's kind of overrated or whatever. But
I'm used to the hotels that have the Denny's connected to them.
Yeah, exactly. So either it's really crappy or it's too expensive, you know, or something like that. But I like to take all the classic things that were invented in hotel restaurants back in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and just basically put our twist on them and make them delicious, put local ingredients in there. We use a lot of local ingredients, and we're one of the only hotels that actually make every single thing from scratch.
Wow.
So,
what's the specialty? What's the special dish?
Well, we have Hatfield Farms beef there, and it's a local beef, local farmer, and it's just so flavorful. I mean, cows are happy. That's really important. So, but right now we just have a new vegetarian lasagna that I'm really proud of. I'm not a vegetarian per se, but just really passionate about vegetables. So
very cool. So when did your love of food begin? When you started eating?
Yes. Yes. Very beginning of my time.
from your time as a baby?
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, my mom made homemade pea puree or carrots. You know, it's so good. But all the women in my family, even a lot of the men in the family were like huge cooks.
Cooks. So it started from a young age. So you like cooking and everything like that.
I was always up on a stool helping the grandma or the uncle, you know, just with whatever.
I mean, do you feel like there's more to... I mean, is there more stuff that you want to do chef-wise, like at the Reserve? Do you ever like get held back or anything? Or like, do you get to help make the menu?
Yes. I would have to answer yes and no to all those questions.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not necessarily held back, but there are limitations,
Right.
to what I can do there. I can't go hunt an antelope
Okay.
and bring it back and serve it in the restaurant.
Right.
But I want to do that
Yeah.
outside of work. I want to do outdoor eating experiences and pop-up restaurants with other chefs and experiment. I'm doing the podcast now, developing sauces that eventually I want to have in grocery stores and things like that.
So I was going to talk about that because you actually are a host of a podcast. You're a man of many hats. So you host a podcast as well. It's called Seed the Story.
Yeah.
And what can you tell us about Seed the Story?
Well, the end of last year, a friend of mine, Matt Alvarado, I got to give a shout out to him because he's really helps make the podcast what it is. I'm kind of the face.
Right.
And like the idea.
Okay.
But he's the technical side, and he's like, well, this is what we can do. And he makes it happen. But we decided to put the podcast together. I've been wanting to do it for a while and just talk to people in the food world, and get a Midwestern perspective on what's happening. And that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Because you have everybody all the way up from Chicago down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of chefs. That's a lot of farmers,
Yeah.
a lot of restaurants.
So is your goal with the podcast, are you telling the stories of the chef? Or are you telling the stories of the food they're cooking? What's the focus?
A little bit of both. Like, I want to get an idea of where the food comes from. Even if it's a corporate farm.
Yeah.
We still eat that food,
Right.
that's important. We survive on that. So where the food comes from, how the chefs use it, what are these restaurant owners thinking about food? What do they love about food? What kind of restaurants do they want to have? The business aspect of it, as well as, where the food comes from, and kind of just a history, of the people that lived, in the last 100 years.
So as someone who's been a chef now for 20 years, in Kansas City area the whole time?
No, yeah, basically I've worked in Kansas City as a chef the majority of the time.
Are you from Kansas City? Did you grow up here?
I didn't necessarily grow up here, but I grew up down south near Rolla. I was born in Rolla, Missouri.
Okay.
And then my older brother, we're like 13 years apart. He moved here when he was 19, and I was like, well, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
When I'm done with high school, I'm moving to Kansas City. So that's what I did.
Very nice. So now, how has the not only maybe the restaurant industry, but maybe what changes have you seen over the time that you've been in Kansas City as a chef? Like, what's the things that have changed or things that are different now than when you first started?
Well, I guess when I first started, it was before the economy kind of crashed, right? So there was a lot of people in the business. You had multiple people running in front of the house and a bunch of chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Now everything's on a skeleton crew, and it's very personal.
Yeah.
You see a couple servers in a restaurant, and you always see those same servers. And, there's a couple chefs in the kitchen running a whole hotel.
Right.
So sometimes I'm by myself. When it's slow, I just do everything.
Yeah.
And I love that. So it's harder. It's harder work now than it was, 17 years ago.
Okay.
But it's just the way the economy is. There's not as many people that can spend as much money now. But I think it's kind of slowly going back to that time when people were just like going out every night.
Right.
Dancing and eating good food and all that kind of stuff.
So do you have what's your... I've always wanted to know this because I feel like being a chef or being a restaurateur has got to be one of the most difficult jobs in the entire world. Because not only, you've got to be there all the time because that's when, your people are there, right? So, and you've got to make sure you got health standards to go up against. You got to make sure stuff's delivered at the right time and everything. What is your day-to-day being a chef like? Do you have to get there super early and start cutting onions and then you're all the way to the end to prepare for the next day? Can you take me through a normal day of your sous chef life? I'm lucky. I caught you on a day off today. So,
well, I guess before I even get to work, I
Yeah.
have this work-life balance.
Okay.
Where I'm married, and I have an amazing wife. She loves me for who I am. I'm lucky for that. I'm barely ever home.
Yeah.
You know, and she's got her own career too, so I'm thankful for that as well, because she's not bored. You know,
okay, yeah,
she's got life. But yeah, sometimes I get there at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm thinking about weeks, days, months ahead. You know, I'm prepping for multiple banquets, all on top of running the day-to-days for just the restaurant itself. At a hotel, it's different. You're not just doing a restaurant. You're doing you're cooking food for the rooms, for the restaurant, and also for parties.
Wow.
Either outside of the hotel or the majority of the time is inside.
Right. So doing catering, room service, and the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
And so I mean, it really is one of the most stressful jobs you can have.
Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of chefs out there that are nice guys. You know, they're mostly salty guys that, you know, and gals. But it's a rough industry, man. I mean, it's kind of a meat grinder, for lack of better words. You know, if you can't cut it, I mean, you just don't last.
Well, but you have. So what's the secret sauce? What do you have? Like
I love it. I just love it so much.
So you got a passion for it then. So if you like what you're doing, then there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You'll be like, I'm fine with working this long shift because I love what I do.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I've done so many different things. Actually, I've been a musician full time. I've been a construction worker. I've been, you know, I dug graves when I was, you know, 15 a summer. I built swimming pools and all kinds of stuff.
Hold on. We gotta. So I can see now why, you know, it's kind of like you've picked a lot of very difficult jobs. That's because let's start with musician. Very hard job. Yeah. Because you gotta late in the evening. You're always working late nights.
And you get paid nothing.
You get paid nothing, and you got to find people that want to book you to come to your show. Because if you don't draw any money, then you're screwed. Mm-hmm. Okay, then construction worker, which talk about changing with the economy.
Right.
That's another crazy one. But you also said you dug graves?
Yeah, I've done so many different things. Like I basically just needed to make some money in the summertime, and some old guy that I knew was like, "Well, I dig graves at night.
Wait, what?
And I'll pay you $5 an hour if you want to help." I'm like, $5 an hour, sweet. I'm like 15, you know, cool.
Man, that's.
So I did that for just a summer, you know.
You did do that. That's
and it was insane. A creepy job. For real.
At night? Like are you in a graveyard at night?
Like the backhoe comes, digs a hole, and then you jump in there and you shape it up, make it all look all nice, and get it ready for the funeral.
Wow. Okay, I can see why you decided to get out of that business. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you were young, but still.
I had no passion for that.
No passion for that. So as a chef now, and that you pursuing your passion, you mentioned a little bit earlier. That's because we got the podcast, but you were also trying to develop your own sauce line. Mm-hmm. What it's called, Jeremiah's Recipe.
Yeah.
And I know it's a very small startup, you know, thing like that, but. Yeah. I mean, what goes into creating the sauces? Is it just like you have the ingredients in the back of your mind and you start creating and experimenting? Like, how does that work?
Well, I guess basically I started with what's a good barbecue sauce in Kansas City?
Yeah.
So I take that barbecue sauce and I'm like, what's in there?
Right.
You know, I break all that down and I measure it out, and then I put in my own ingredients.
Yeah.
You know, so I usually now I've gotten to the point where I can make a completely vegan barbecue sauce that you wouldn't know otherwise.
Okay.
But it's a barbecue sauce for everyone. So it's vegan, it's gluten-free. Everything is from like fresh organic vegetables, smoked, garlic, peppers, onions, you know, vinegar, molasses, and I just put all that together and blend it up into a nice smooth sauce. You can put it with barbecue or on sandwiches, whatever.
Very nice. Now, do you have like your own like special secret like Coke recipe, you know, of like, oh no, this is my little, no one else is going to mimic this. This is my
Yeah, I actually make it so no one else can.
Okay.
So, and it's just the process of the vegetables that I smoke and then I put into the sauce to give it that really barbecue taste.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. You mentioned we before we started recording, you mentioned peanut butter and jelly was like your favorite meal of all time. Now, I am a horrible cook. I can only make a few things, okay? Number 1, ham and cheese sandwich. Number 2, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Number 3.
We have something in common.
Yeah. Grilled cheese sandwich. You see where I'm heading here?
Yeah.
So what is like your what I want to know, like what your go-to meal is, and then what is like your like, hey, I'm feeling special, I'm feeling great, I'm gonna cook up like a big giant, like, do you have one of those in your mind where like,
yeah,
I know I can do this meal and I do it right, and this is like my heaven meal? Like what do you got?
Like the heaven meal or the other?
Well, both of them. Wait, start with your go-to. What's your
guess
go-to?
my go-to would probably be a peanut butter and jelly.
Okay, so it is peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, and I'm really into like making my own jellies and jams.
Do you do anything special with it? Or is it just peanut butter and jelly and bread? Or do you like mix anything else on there?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna go get like a local bread.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna get like a nice peanut butter from Trader Joe's or something. Okay. Or actually take the peanuts and put them in the food processor with a little peanut oil.
Oh, see, so you'll go that far?
Yeah,
then.
almond butters.
You're not going to the Jif tub.
No, I'm actually really like kind of food conscious.
Okay.
Without trying to be like too snobby. Okay. I just like to know where the food comes from, but other than that, I just eat everything.
All right. Well, what's your heaven meal?
My heaven meal is like probably a smoked meat of some type, you know, like a big pork butt or beef ribs or even rabbit. Like
even rabbit. Wow.
It's a guilty pleasure. I love.
I've never had rabbit before.
And then, just a bunch of roasted vegetables, almost like a little feast, of meat and vegetables. Yeah. That's heaven right there.
Like to me, you mentioned food conscious, and like I feel like I know where some of my food comes from, but not a lot of it. Like, how can I become more food conscious? Is it just a matter of like trying to buy more organic stuff, or like going to places that only sell that? Like, what can you do?
It's not easy.
No, it's really not, because like I look at like peanut butter. I'm like, oh, there's peanut butter. Like, there's nothing, just crunchy peanut butter to me. Yeah. But I know that some people are very like, they do all their research and they go out of their way. Like, how can I make it easier on myself if I really want to like dig deeper into knowing that stuff?
I mean, I guess I break it down to pretty much one rule. If I don't understand the ingredients on the label, then I probably shouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in there. Riboflavonoids or whatever.
Right.
But like if I don't recognize the ingredients, if it doesn't say peanuts, salt, and oil, like I don't need it. There's no reason for me to have it. It's probably some preservative that's bad for me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I just break it down. If I look at the label on leaf lettuce and it says something other than leaf lettuce, I'm like, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
So
when you're doing meals at the reserve, are all of those food conscious meals as well? You said you're working with local, like local vendors and things like that. I mean, how much of the food that you're creating there is going to be more organic or farm to table than someplace else you would go?
I mean, if you consider a restaurant that grabs cookies out of the freezer, puts them on a tray and bakes them, as opposed to me, where I actually make the cookies in giant batches. I cut them to shape, and then I freeze them, and then pull them out when I need them. I mean, there's eggs, sugar, flour, salt, flavoring.
Yeah.
Whether it's chocolate chips or vanilla or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no mystery ingredients in there. That's as honest as you can get. So, and we don't have any food like that that's not made fresh with, our own hands. There's no mystery ingredients. So, this is another thing, because I'm always blown away by, like, how many items do you have to know how to cook right now, like off the top of your head? It's not like you can sit, but like it's not like you're flipping through a cookbook there in the kitchen, right? No. So how many things are on the list that you got to know and like know specifically to do? Well, I guess you could hundreds.
Yeah.
because you have 20 different dishes.
Yeah.
And each dish has 20 different parts, maybe. So the math says almost 1,000, you know.
So do you ever get confused part of the way through? Because I get confused sometimes when I'm like trying to make I'm like, oh wait, hold on, what? Like I was the guy that when it came to like macaroni and cheese, I would forget to remove the water and put the cheese in, you know, like where I'm sitting back like, oh damn it, what am I doing here? You know, like so I can only imagine that's because it's different because you're working with food all day long, so I assume it becomes second nature. But I mean, do you ever sit there and just go, oh shit, what's damn it, what do I gotta hit next?
I mean, you know, every once in a while, I'll forget that I got something in the oven.
Okay.
But, you know, and so, that sometimes turns out bad, but, there's so many things going on in my head, you know, it's like somehow I was designed to have this brain that can just process it all.
Yeah.
And so like I have hundreds and thousands of recipes in my head that I can pull from at any time. And that's kind of really what makes the chef as opposed to just the cook, you know? And really a chef is kind of more of a thing given to a person who's a cook and a leader. They're like, well, we're calling you a chef because we respect you. Yeah. So I eventually got that title from just working with people in kitchens, you know, and being a doer. Yeah. You know.
Okay, I'm going to change gears a little bit here. How accurate are the some of the cooking shows, like the Gordon Ramsays of the world and stuff, where he's just yelling at everybody? Have you been in situations like that in the kitchen where, you know, somebody's just yelling at you like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of he's the end of that era.
Okay.
In a way, like
he's the last person around that like is going to yell like that?
No, he's not the last, but he's kind of that age group of where chefs like him existed, where it was kind of military. Okay. You go into the kitchen and you're on your station and you keep your head down, you work, and you're not a person, you're a tool.
You're a food processor.
Yeah, you're a food processor, exactly. So, I mean, I grew up in kitchens where, you know, you got yelled at and cussed at, and I mean, sexual harassment is like a huge thing in the restaurant world. Oh, I mean, it's so rampant. So you're dealing with all different aspects of stress. Yeah. You know, and that's one of the things that I pride myself on, is being somebody who is like a cool, calm, collected guy. Yeah. You know, and love having fun and cooking things. Yeah. You know, and being organized and super clean at work and all that stuff. So I like to think that people love to work with me because I'm so different than all the other chefs. Right. And so yeah.
So what's your future? What do you want to do? What are you going to be doing 10 years from now? So the sauce is going to take off?
Well, my plan is to develop a couple like passive forms of income. One being the sauce. Okay. You know, so eventually I'll be making this sauce on my own, small batches for people until it gets popular enough to where I can have a company make it for me under my recipe. Yeah. You know, and then I'll use that as a passive form of income. My podcast, another kind of pseudo passive form of income where I'm still doing a little bit of work, but it's like one day every couple weeks, you know. And then eventually let that lead into a cookbook that is also another passive form of income, and a aquaponics farm connected to a kitchen that I do pop-up restaurants, food trucks out of, arts incubator for Kansas City. Yeah. And just a place for people to come learn, but it's not a restaurant. Yeah. It's everything but a restaurant in the food world. Right. And I feel like that's kind of like the next step in food business. Okay. Is making money off food without having a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Because restaurants suck up so much money. There's so much overhead, and it's not profitable. Yeah. People don't go run a restaurant to become rich. Yeah. You know.
They run a restaurant because they love it.
They love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So thinking
or it's just a job.
So thinking outside the box, then you're thinking, oh, I don't need to have. I can still serve food I want to serve without having to like have a building. Basically.
or have a place where people come to get the food. I can take it to them.
Yeah. Well, there's food trucks everywhere now. I see food trucks all over the place. I mean, they're everywhere. But, I mean, if you're doing like pop-up shops and things like that, pop-up restaurants, it's kind of like you got to have a good amount of like marketing power behind you to get people to still come there. So you got to have something special like that secret sauce to get them there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to basically have a reputation.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like working towards that point.
Yeah.
I don't expect myself to go out there in the park and set up some food and people are just going to show up.
Come try Jeremiah's recipe. Yeah. Who's Jeremiah?
It might work out, but it's not sustainable yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, this is exciting. I hope it. I love eating food. I love going and trying new places. My wife loves food. We love going and trying new restaurants all the time. I mean, it's one of our favorite things to try new different food. Because when I grew up, we had a very set eating schedule. Like Monday was pizza, Tuesday was tacos. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. I absolutely loved it because I loved it. Like when my mom would make fajitas, or my dad would make pizza. Like I absolutely loved it. But now, like my wife's very health conscious, so she'll make me like these nice, she'll make these really nice, healthy meals and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I've never had anything like this before. What is this? So I'm excited about because we love going and trying new places. So I hope that you get to that point where you can have like your own spot. You just set up shop and you're good to go.
Yeah, and the ambassador, they've taken care of me ever since I've been there. So I feel like it's almost my spot, Like if you want to come eat my cooking, come to the hotel. I mean, it's great food, and especially now that I can kind of say that I know exactly what's in the food,
right?
And I've got to make it my own and work side by side with executive chefs that are great guys. So.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. All right, we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back here with Jeremiah Lyman. Happy March to you. March Madness, Marchy Archie. Lots of exciting things going on in March. Let's think about it. Hold on one second. My dog. What's that be? Sorry, my dog is... we had a lot of dogs on this show lately. My dog is... looking at a bird outside. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, what was I saying? It doesn't really matter. Hey, thank you so much for continuing to listen to the Kansas City Podcast. Make sure you check out our website, thekansascitypodcast.com. Give us a review. We love getting those 5 stars. Show me that you gave us 5 stars, and I will. I'll give you a shout out on the show. So we always appreciate you doing that. 1 stars, not so much, but 5. Woo, that's a great number. 5. Yes. Please continue to share the show. We appreciate all the love and support that we receive from the fans of the Kansas City Podcast. All right, let's get back to it here with Jeremiah. Back to the show. Welcome back to the Kansas City Podcast. Cole Lindbergh here with Jeremiah D. Lyman. We're talking food. We're talking chef stuff. All right. I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. I have a little bit of history in the food industry in that at one time I worked at a Wingstop. Only worked there for a week, but there was always this last minute end of the day thing that drove everyone insane. And what it was like 5 minutes before closing, someone comes in. Does that exist in your world as well? Because like I said, this was just a fast casual restaurant, but in your world, if someone comes in a minute before close or whatever, are you getting angry? Are you mad? Are you are there days where you're just I want to get out of here? Why did this person have to come in?
It happens almost every day.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've learned to be okay with it.
It's more like
you just took a giant breath of a sigh of
it's my monk moment. I have to have those monk moments. Where I'm I know I'm about to get angry. Yeah. But I have to be positive, and it's a customer.
Yeah.
They want some of my great food. Okay. So Husa.
Yeah. So,
You know?
when it's all said and done, you're like, okay, it's
Yeah.
whatever. All right. So,
And it's actually kind of cool because a lot of cooks, they get mad. And so I'm like, all right, guys, this is going to be the best meal they've ever had. These jerks.
Yeah, these jerks that came in at the end of the day. All right. Hey, do you want to take the Casey quiz?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. All right, it's time for the Casey quiz. You know how this works. I'm going to ask you some questions. Now, of course, you will be rewarded points for these questions. If you don't like a question, you can always say, stupid question. And remember, folks, you can tweet us at Kansas City Pod if you would like to have your question added to the Casey quiz. Okay, we always start with this question. It is a highly contested question. You are going to have a little bit of a different viewpoint on it. Your favorite restaurant that is not barbecue.
That is not barbecue.
That is not barbecue.
Affair.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Chef Martin Hauser is a friend and associate of mine, and he's just amazing chef.
That's down in the Crossroads, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the German.
1911 Maine.
Okay. Do you got a favorite meal there? Favorite thing to get?
Oh, man.
That's the thing. Is like, how often do you get to go anyway? Right?
Barely ever.
Right, okay.
I've eaten there twice.
Okay.
Like in the past 10 years or 8 years.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't remember how long they've been open, but yeah.
You got a favorite dish?
They had a braised short rib that was just phenomenal with, pickled vegetables and things like that Germans love.
Yeah.
And you guys are great front of the house staff, and their wine selection is amazing.
Wow.
So.
Okay. All right. Now, second part of the question. Favorite barbecue? Are you a barbecue guy? Well,
yeah.
No, of course you are. Yeah,
I love barbecue.
All right. Smoked meats.
For Kansas City barbecue, I like LC's.
Wow. Okay. There we go. You're speaking my language. I'm a huge LC's fan.
Yeah, because it's that wet, kind of sweet, a little bit spicy barbecue.
Yeah.
And it's really honest. So I love that.
I love going in there and it's been a while since I've been in there, so I don't know if it's the same thing, but there was LC was just hanging out in the corner with his desk, and papers are piled high, and everything, and you walk in and just that smell just gets you.
I just
right
love
away.
the fact that they have a counter with a register, a little fryer, and the big smoker is right there.
Yeah.
And he just pulls the meat out of the smoker, chops it up in front of you, fries you some chips, and there's your food. It's like, man, can't get better than that.
6 points. Well done. Here we go. Your next one. What is the one thing in town that everybody should try once? What's the one thing that everybody should go do and try once? I know it's a tough one.
Probably the KC Pride Fest.
Okay.
Yeah, over in the Liberty Memorial.
Yeah.
Man, that is an event. There's all kinds of people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And, no matter what your idea of fun is, you're probably going to have a great time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So Pride Fest. All right, I like it. Here we go. Favorite bar? Do you have a favorite local bar?
Oh, man.
You can say where you work. It's okay.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I don't hang out where I work because I'm already hanging out there.
Okay.
But me and my wife, we've been loving SOT.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Tiki Cat.
Okay.
Their drinks are so good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd only need a couple.
Oh, yeah. You only need a few?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, here we go. You got to pick one. You want to go to Worlds of Fun, the Zoo, or Schlitterbahn?
That's a really hard one.
Really?
Ethically, I get upset about going to the zoo, but I'm just like, I love animals, so I'm going to have to go with the zoo.
Going with the zoo, all right. I'm going to give you 2 points for that. Well done. Right. As someone that has lived in Kansas City for a long time, how do you feel about the airport?
I hate flying, so I try not to go there.
Okay, but there's a lot of topic right now about the airport.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Our airport's real simple.
Yeah.
You know, you walk in, you know exactly where you need to go, and you get on the plane and you're gone. Like, you don't really spend a lot of time at the Kansas City airport.
No, you don't.
So
you do not.
It's all right with me. Dallas airport was crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I went down there one time, and that was interesting.
1 point. Here we go. Food-related question. Well, I've got a couple food-related questions. You ready? Mm-hmm. This was a Twitter question from long ago, and I still say this one every now and then, but here we go. Are boneless wings just chicken nuggets?
No.
No? Oh, wow. Okay, I'm ready. Explain.
So a chicken nugget is chicken that's taken off the bone, ground up, put into a mold, cooked, breaded, and fried.
Okay.
Okay, and then a boneless chicken wing is just a wing that has the bone taken out, and then you bread it and fry it.
Okay. Interesting.
So a chicken nugget is something totally elevated from a boneless chicken wing.
Oh, wow.
If you think about it technically. Yeah.
So I think I can retire this question now. You have given the most definitive answer we've ever had on the KC quiz when it comes to that question. Okay. I like it. Yeah.
Is that at 10 points?
I'll give you 7.
Right.
Here we go. Next question here. Do you have a how do you feel about the streetcar? Because the streetcar is right down, not far from where you work.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
it? I love it.
Okay.
It's amazing. I'm excited about its progression, actually.
Yeah.
Because if it can come to the stadiums, man,
yeah,
that would be amazing for Raytown, not only to help property value. I mean, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to my neighborhood, I'm voting for it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very nice. Here we go. What you got to put these in order. Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, Mavericks. You a sports guy?
Not in the classic sense.
Okay.
Like, I'm into martial arts.
Oh, okay.
So
but
I live right next to the stadium.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with Chiefs.
Okay. Wait, tell me about martial arts. You're into martial, like, so are you into, I mean, because when I think martial arts, there's not a lot, I mean, you know, you can get, wow, I'm horrible at this. You can get belts and things like that, but it's not like, but I mean, like, are you watching, like, fighting, like MMA or things like that? Or?
Yeah, I watch mixed martial arts. I watch UFC, and I watch, different Olympics, and I watch, Ultimate Fighter, and I'm into boxing, and kickboxing, and Thai boxing, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Who's the best in the world right now?
The best in the world?
Yeah, in UFC. Who's the best?
Rose Namajunas. She's a female light featherweight or whatever. I can't remember. Strawweight.
Okay.
And she's amazing. She's world champion. And
does anyone ever tell you that if you didn't have a beard, you'd look a little bit like Conor McGregor?
Yeah. Or a young Phil Collins.
Young Phil Collins. Yeah. All right, yeah, I can catch that.
When I dress up, people say I look like Justin Timberlake. I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah, that's
cool.
That's a tough one. I don't see that one.
It.
I see
Thank you.
Phil Collins. I do see a little bit of like
Phil Collins is way cooler than Justin Timberlake.
Now that you mentioned you mentioned UFC and fighting and stuff, I'm kind of like, okay, I can see a little bit of McGregor, but I wouldn't have probably said that if you wouldn't have said anything. Here we go. You got a couple questions left. Your favorite place to hang out? So you got like a favorite local hangout you go to? I mean, it could be the Tiki Cat as well, but.
That's a good. Like, I love hanging out in nature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I go camping as often as possible.
Way out of town?
Like way out, fishing, camping. That's my thing. So.
That sounds. You know what? Now that I think about it, and we've talked a little bit, that makes all the sense in the world because you're going from like a very crazy, high stress environment. And so now you just want to go out into the woods.
Yeah, absolutely. My dogs, they're crying.
Yes, the dogs are enjoying. Would you guys like to take the KC quiz? Here we go. You got your next one here. Is it Plaza or Plaza?
It's Plaza.
Say it one more time.
Plaza.
Okay, great. 1 point. Brilliant. Here we go. I've got 2 questions left for you here. This is another food-related question. Food-related. Is it pop or soda?
Soda pop.
Oh, it's soda pop. It's both. Okay, all right. Our friends at Atomic Fizz will like that you said that answer.
My aunts and uncles I grew up, I always heard them saying soda pop.
Soda pop.
Yeah.
That's how it is. All right, last question. It is time for the Google Challenge.
Uh-oh.
Ready for the Google Challenge?
I guess so.
Here's what I have done. I have gone onto the Google machine, and I have typed in a word, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I've typed in kind of a phrase, and I've let Google autofill it. So I need you to complete the autofill on Google.
Okay.
Okay, all right? Because, you go to Google, okay? All right, so I typed in sauce is... and then Google autofilled. So sauce, because I was thinking sauces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I put sauce is, what did Google autofill? What's the thing that people are thinking about when it comes to sauce?
A wet component that brings the whole dish together.
Sauce is a wet component that brings the whole dish together. It does not say that. It does say sauce is forever.
Oh,
that is the first one. Sauce is forever. The second
That's,
one is sauce is too salty.
Sauce is too salty.
Sauce is too salty. So sauce is forever. Sauce is too salty. What do you think about that? That's what people are searching.
It went from Hallmark card to ignorant guy on the internet or whatever. Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna tally up your points here. Mm-hmm. Very important. Let's see here. Oh yes, hi. Was that Rhaegar? Rhaegar. Yeah. Do you like Game of Thrones? Obviously.
Yeah, they're both named after Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, they're both named after dragons.
That's my wife's doing, though.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, how much time do you get to sit around and watch TV too?
All we do is watch Game of Thrones, and then when it's not on, we're watching it. So, yeah.
And the dogs yell at the dragons.
Yeah.
We're like, that's my namesake. Here we go. Let's add up some points here. Divided by 3, 7. You got 38 points.
Okay.
38 points. Well done.
Is that great?
That is very well done. That puts you obviously somewhere on the leaderboard. I don't know where, but you're on there. So well done. Well done. Jeremiah, thank you for taking the KC quiz.
Thank you. It was fun.
All right, Jeremiah, we are nearing the end of our time today. It's been very nice to get to know you. I hope that people go downtown and they try some of your food. I'm definitely going to do so, when I get a chance. I feel like I've learned a little bit about being a chef, and honestly, I don't know if it's something that I want to get into. But tell people where they can find you, where they can find information about you. This is your time to shine. This is your plug, sir.
Okay, well, I'm like you said, I'm the sous chef at the Reserve Restaurant at the Ambassador Hotel, which is at 1111 Grand, Kansas City, Missouri, and it's just north of the Sprint Center on Grand. And then you can go to my website at jeremiahsrecipe.com, not www.
Oh, okay.
So just jeremiahsrecipe.com.
Okay.
There goes our net neutrality and stuff. But and then on YouTube, I have Seed to Story. That's a podcast where we interview chefs, farmers, anybody in the food world, really. And on Instagram, Chef Jeremiah D. Lyman.
Very nice. And you are always posting pictures of food on Instagram, and I'm immediately getting hungry. So you do a good job. It worked. Yeah. Social media at its best. It worked. Know, right? Remember, folks, you can find me on Twitter at Cole Lindberg. Please check out our website, theKansasCityPodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Kansas City Pod. Any words of wisdom to take us out today? Here at the end of the day.
Love people, cook them tasty food.
Brilliant. Love it. Jeremiah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Cole.
We'll see you next time here on the Kansas City Podcast.